Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Brand. This series is called In Action. Examples, tips and hints, rules are what you will find in this series. The fact is that you have to be on the stage to have a brand. Why? Because brand is gut feeling about you, your company, product or service. So let's talk about brand in action. And today I'm excited to interview Peter Hopwood. Peter is a global speaker coach, TEDx coach, virtual speaking specialist, and he loves to take people to the next level in their confidence and storytelling abilities. Peter travels the globe now because of the pandemic situation virtually, supporting teams and professionals to define, craft, and deliver cleverer stories with stronger impact. Popular areas of expertise include storytelling techniques, using your voice with impact and visual speaking and presence skill set. With strong focus on building leaders' virtual presence. Peter was born in London, but he worked in 32 countries and lived in 7 now, based in Split, Croatia. So welcome to the podcast, Peter, and actually welcome to Poland. But as far as I know, you've been to Poland.
Yeah, I have. Actually, I've been to where you are right now, Gdansk. Is that right?
Really?
You're in Gdansk.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
about
north coast of
three
Poland.
times. About 3 times to Gdansk. I was hosting InfoShare, the big digital conference there, quite a few times. And
okay, so what you've been doing there exactly?
Hosting. I was a host. I was the main host.
Really?
If any of you have been to InfoShare before on the main stage, look back at the photographs, and it's me.
Really? Wonderful. Okay, so that's wonderful, because today I would like to talk with you about brand on stage and how to be more confident on actually virtual stage, because the stage now, because of the pandemic situation, is virtual, and I see that for many people being on a virtual stage is something new, and is a result of the pandemic situation. Even me, I did my first webinar, recorded my first video and first interview during the pandemic. There's a lot of problems because when you are online, you do not have full body language. You have to imagine your audience, and it causes tension. So how to be more confident when you are virtual on a virtual stage, or when you are recording some video?
Well, I mean, listen, there's quite a few questions in there with quite a lot of answers as well. But if I just break it down slightly, so essentially, every time we show up online, people can see us, they can hear our voice, they look at us, they're creating this snap judgment about us, the judgment and the decisions based on what they hear and what they see. And all of this naturally is part of the process, part of the puzzle in determining what kind of brand you have, determining the feeling people have when they see you, when they hear you. So whether it is something like this, where it's a podcast, whether it's a webinar, whether it's something you're leading online as a leader, as a manager of your team, for example, or simply just in a Zoom call that we're doing constantly. Most of us listening to this are doing this constantly. Every time we show up, we have to do it in a way that naturally represents our brand the right way, represents the feelings and the emotions and the perception we want to have in the people that are looking at us or listening to us, or perhaps just getting closer to the outcome that we want. So literally what I do is help teams, help people, help leaders, professionals to really be aware of how they show up, really be aware of what they say, how they say it, what people see, what people feel, and trying as much as possible to create that presence, that strong presence, to create an engagement a lot higher than maybe what they're used to, and also that trust. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to create that trust with any interaction, whether it's in person or online. But naturally, online, it feels a lot more difficult, because you're right, many things are reduced. Our body language, what people see and what people feel, is reduced. But still, there are many things we can do to compensate for that. There are many things, many micro skills we can do online to really try to create that trust and that connection, and getting people to listen to us, and create the right perception closer to the outcome we want.
Okay, and actually, maybe that's okay. I do believe that on stage, virtual or physical, whatever, it is definitely better to be authentic than perfect, because I see many people learning how to behave on stage, and as a result, they imitate others and they lose their authenticity. And how to balance the professionalism with being authentic?
Yeah, very good question, Lucas. I think certainly in the work that I do and the people I work alongside, remember how we feel, how we're feeling up here and in here, and our state of mind in terms of what we're talking about, in terms of what we feel about that subject, that topic, about our environment, what's going on in here just before we begin, what's happening in our lives, for example, that are making us, feel maybe high anxiety, or feeling unhappy about something, or feeling excited about something. What happens is our bodies, it's difficult for our bodies to not let that, not reveal that. So how we feel almost always comes out through our body, through our voice, and through how we shape what we say, and especially when we're speaking, let's say, on a stage or in front of a crowd. So the trick is, or not a trick, the idea is, the best idea is to really start to feel the right feelings of excitement, the right feeling of anticipation that this is going to be good, the feeling that you're going to share something of value, the feeling that this this is an opportunity to help others understand something better, to learn something from you, or simply just to be informed in an entertaining way. So how we feel will come across, and so your body language, your gestures, your micro expressions, the sound of your voice, all of this is based on how you're feeling. Now, actors they do it in the opposite way, usually the opposite way. Okay, so creating that idea, creating a persona, and then sharing that to people, to the people watching. But still, they often do the same thing. They still have to start to feel. Method actors, if you're really feeling what that character feels, if you're really putting yourself in their shoes on how that person his or her emotional state, that will help you on the outside share the right messages. So really, it's about getting into the right state of mind, ready to share that and to feel positive. And so once you focus on those things, you start to feel more you're more closer to how you share your messages in a more authentic, in a more stronger way that is more closer to who you are.
Okay, so how can we prepare before we enter the stage? Are there any tips or tricks?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Or exercises you do?
So first of all, focusing on your value. Think to yourself, because a lot of it is thinking. most of it is thinking, and not just thinking just before you come onto the stage, but way before, when you're putting together your ideas, putting together the script, putting together the main key messages you want to share. All right. So thinking of the value, what do I want my audience to feel? What do I want my audience to think differently about? What do I want them to do? So thinking about those three things will start to help you shape your message and share your message in the right way. The value, remember, people will only listen to you and continue to listen to you if they know they're going to get something from it, if they know they're going to get value. If it's a comedian, they know they're going to laugh, they want to feel good. So they laugh in the first few jokes. It gives them there's a higher increase that by the end of it, they'll be laughing more. If they're not laughing in the first two jokes, after the first two jokes, let's say, the probability is they won't continue to keep laughing. So they'll turn off. You're sharing a message at the beginning. If you don't give them an idea of the value they're going to get, people will not stay. Okay. So you did it here in this scenario. You did it very, very well, Lucas. You said to everybody, you told everybody, okay, this is what this is about, and this is what you're going to get. So people are very clear at the beginning of this exchange what's going to happen and what they're going to get. It may not be for them, and so it's good. So they leave, or hopefully that's what they're here for. They feel comfortable and they're ready to continue and listen, because at the end of the day, that's what we want people to do, to grab their attention and keep them listening to us. And that's so much more difficult online. So remember, anything on a screen, anything we look at in terms of screens is designed to keep our attention. So TV, Netflix, movies, games, apps, games on apps, all these with the colors, with the movement, with the sounds, with the cinematography, with the music, with the colors, and what you hear, all this put together is designed to keep our attention. Now we have to kind of think to ourselves, okay, well, we're in the same boat now. I'm competing against, in a way, all these other screens. I have to make sure I'm going to be doing something, saying something in a way that will keep people's attention. Moving my body in a way that will keep people listening and will help them feel like they're in the right place and they want to gain this value. So just those kind of thoughts way before, and as you're leading up to your speech, and naturally just before the showtime, just before you go on.
Okay.
Thinking about that, okay, what am I going to share? What's the value I'm going to give? What is the feeling, that tone I want to create? And you can do it. So remember, how we feel, as I said earlier, is contagious in front of an audience, because they will often feel the same. If you're feeling nervous, if you sound nervous, you feel awkward, your audience will start to feel or understand that you're awkward, and that will make them feel awkward. If you've got some excitement about you, or some intrigue, or something that you want to share which is curious, they will start to feel that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so,
you've said that also how you move. And I remember that after my first recording, which was a year ago, I got from a couple of people the feedback that I was gesturing too much hands. But then I thought, okay, maybe that's too much. But then the second thought was, okay, but that's me. I'm moving quite fast on stage. I'm using my hands to express something. And I wonder if if there is something like this that you use too much hands,
if it's distracting and if it's taking away from the message and it
okay.
feels like it's more of a focus than the message, then yes. But often it's just a question of making sure people can see what your hands are doing, see what your gestures, how your gestures are connected to the words you're saying, illustrating things that you're saying. So illustrators are small little things you can do with your hands that show, that kind of represent the words. Like, so for example, I'm doing it now for those that are looking. This is something quite huge and something quite big, or the whole world is going to be involved with this idea. Or it could be something really small and really just a tiny idea that actually moves forward. As you can see with my hands, I'm doing that kind of forward motion, and then it's something really strong, really good. So you can use your hands in many ways to create that engagement, that closer engagement. If you don't show what your hands are doing, it takes away this a layer of engagement. So if I was to say the same thing right now and maybe lean back slightly as well, and maybe not look as if I'm that interested, and almost say the same thing. Well, okay, so right now we're going to have a conversation all about public speaking, all about virtual speaking and presence, and we're going to do that right now with Lucas. Or I do the same thing, just bringing up my hands. Okay, this is a virtual exchange. I'm bringing up my hands here so you can see what they're doing. They're not high, they're just below my shoulders, just below my chin. And I'm kind of naturally sort of keeping them up, but you can see what's happening and what they're doing. So if I was to say the same thing, like right now, we are going to have a great conversation all about public speaking, all about speaking with presence and impact. And we're going to do that right now with Lucas. So I actually sound better. It's a funny, strange thing. You sound better when you use your hands, when you gesture, when you just let your arms and your hands kind of follow the keywords and phrases that you're sharing, those messages, and it makes a big difference. Okay, as you progress, you can get better and better at this. But a quick tip for everybody on Zoom: before you have a Zoom call, before you're doing a webinar or whatever it is in terms of your virtual exchange, have a look at yourself first. Practice, talk to the camera. Have a look at what your hands are doing. Have a call with someone else. Ask them, what do I look like? Even better, record yourself. You could even just record yourself and look at yourself and see what other people see. Having your hands on show, using movement which is connected to how you're sharing your messages, will make you sound better.
But actually, you can't see the reaction of the audience when you are online. It seems
no, you can't. You're right. You can't see that. But here's the thing. It's as long as you focus on what you're sharing, and because your audience's reaction isn't always a true reaction. So what we see, let's say you're standing on a stage, let's say it's a big stage, let's say for example InfoShare, right? Standing on the stage, I'm looking out, lots of people. Most of the people at the back I can't see, I can just see the darkness. I only kind of see the first, let's say 10 rows, which have lights shining left and right of them, and maybe right in the front row there's even more lights. People are, when people listen, they don't always show body language which is inviting. Yeah, so when I know when I listen, my arms are often folded, and my eyebrows are down, and I'm kind of thinking, because I know no one's looking at me and I'm looking at someone else. When I'm watching TV, when I'm intrigued by something on Netflix, or watching a TV show, or listening to an interview, or someone, maybe a presenter, talking to me through the screen, I don't show that I'm particularly listening, but I may well be. So the idea is not to let if you don't see your audience, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't share messages better. The idea is just getting into this zone and mode of sharing your messages with that value. You know what it's all about. You know what you want to achieve, your purpose, your outcome, and sharing that with energy, sharing that with warmth, depending on the message. It depends on the message. If it's a warm message, yes. If it's designed to help people feel good about themselves or about a certain particular topic, then yes. But if it's something that, you know, bringing bad news to somebody perhaps, or something which is more serious, or you know, something more political, for example, or like, for example, right now there's a big lots of controversy right now with this European Super League. So interviews we see right now, many interviews with people in football, managers, owners, people from FIFA, people from UEFA, they may not be sharing warmth, but they'll be sharing ideas, and that feeling that they're sharing probably will be something connected with credibility, boldness, making sure people understand their messages. So very clear, simple messages. The tone of their voice will help shape that message as well, to hear that they're serious about something, or they object to something. So we can still create create the mood and create the tone. And in many ways, we can do that better online because it's somewhat more intimate, isn't it? So right now you can see my micro expressions. I can see yours. We're constantly looking at each other. Which we wouldn't do naturally in the real world. We would look at each other for a while and then maybe look away and then look again and then look down and then look again at each other. I can actually get closer to the screen and closer to the camera if I want to. I can lean in to show you I have something even more intriguing or something more powerful that I want you to listen to. Or even, you know, I can really show you I'm listening by, again, tilting my head slightly. I can nod. I can give you these signals, clear signals that I'm listening to what you're saying, that I have this respect for you while you're talking to me, and I'm not off doing anything else. My time right now is with you. You've given me your time, and I want to show you that. I want to show you that this is valuable, this exchange. So there are many things we can do to create this connection, this engagement that many of us feel we can't get online. And it's a myth. We can still do it. Think about presenters. They've been doing it for years. Presenters on TV. They don't think about what other people are thinking, you know, thinking of them or their audience. They're thinking of how they come across, because they know how they come across. They've seen themselves probably many, many times. They know how they sound. They know the effect and the outcome they want, and they're sharing that energy. And in a way, we have to do the same.
Okay, so you've already gave us an example how to do this and showed us how to do this. But let's be clear about that. If you can give some bad habits, or what we should remember about, or what we should do when we are speaking virtually or on stage, what we should remember about. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, I don't know, tips. Just remember. Okay, 5 would be enough. About body language, voice, and the space. Gestures.
Okay, so let's talk about space. Good one. Let's talk about movement and space. So when people see us in the real world, we have space around us. And the bigger that space we take up, even though we may be short and thin, it does not matter. We can still create space and boldness around us. And when we have that, it gives us a subconscious impression that there's more credibility attached to this person, to the presence, to the charisma. Okay, so you can do that really well in person. So open, so your body language certainly is open. People seeing you from top to toe, nothing covered across the most vulnerable areas of the body, which are your stomach here, your chest, chin. As we go down the groin area, making sure all of this is on show, that people can see this, and your hands naturally can help with that first impression, help with that engagement. And when people make that snap judgment of you, it's closer to a positive, to a good first impression than a negative one. However, when we're on the screen, when we're on a virtual exchange, we don't have all that space. So I don't have all the space I have in person. I don't have all of that area around me. I just have what you see. I have this rectangle box. So I've got to make sure I'm using this box as much as I can to create that connection and that trust. So I know where my hands go to, as up to either side of that rectangular box. So usually it's not going outside, doesn't really go outside here, doesn't go above there, does it? It just stays here, just below my chin, below my shoulders, and most of the time you'll see that it's symmetrical. It's the same, because when things are the same, when things are structured in our brains, we just have this thing happens, or it tells our brain that, okay, this is structured. This is something which is good. Things that are good structured are usually better or good attached to them, rather than things that are not. So think of an email, which just comes in your inbox, and we still get them, an email full of, paragraphs here and there. It's not really clear. There's a massive long paragraph, for example, bits of bold writing, and maybe italics popped in, and a couple of colors maybe, as opposed to another email we get, and it just looks good, it's easy to read, there are spaces between those short paragraphs, and there are headings, and already we already in our minds we're happy to read that email. We think in our minds, okay, probably there's credibility attached to this email. The other one, already we think, well, who's this from? Should I click anything on there? And I'm not quite sure whether this is of value to me. So going back to symmetrical movement, it's easier for our brains to stick with or to follow symmetrical movements rather than asymmetrical. Asymmetrical you can do, that's not a problem, but constantly think about sharing more symmetrical movements than asymmetrical. You can see also my body if I was to come on, for example, I'm just taking InfoShare as an example because it's relevant, and it's in Gdansk where you are right now. My first 60 seconds coming on the stage is the most important 60 seconds of those 2 days or 3 days that I'm hosting the main stage there. Because that is the time people are making those judgments about me. It's so difficult to shake off a first impression. It's possible. It is possible because we know it. We've met people in the past. Maybe we've had a negative opinion of them, met them once or twice. And then as we get to know them, we realize actually they're okay and might even become a friend. So it is possible, but it takes a lot of more energy and a lot more thought and a lot more brain power. And also opening up, suspending judgment as well, which is a whole different thing. But yeah, going back to the idea of that first 60 seconds, I come out and I make sure that people can see my hands, my gestures, but it's focused energy, really focused energy. So that means my body is often still and calm. Still and calm. So at the beginning, whenever anybody's making that snap judgment of you, calmness equals confidence. All right, calmness equals confidence. People will will see that you're calm, and that will automatically give them an impression that you are in control of your body, in control of your mind, in control of the situation, even though the situation might be hectic and things going wrong and it's a crisis. You in all of this, your role in all of this is to stay calm. You stay calm, others stay calm. Leaders stay calm, they will influence others to stay calm. Yeah. So I come out and I'm calm. My body's calm, but my energy, I've still got that focused energy. So there's still energy coming out, and I can do that through my voice. I do that through my gestures, and I'm focused on that energy, helping people to feel good about why they're there, giving them the value they're going to get. So after the 2-3 days together, this is what you're going to feel like. This is what you're going to get. Make the most of this. Enjoy this. You've paid a ticket for this, or maybe you haven't paid a ticket for this. Maybe your company did. Whoever paid a ticket for this, you're here now, and you're going to get the most out of this. So helping people to feel that way at the beginning and create this right impression of you as the host. So my role is simply just to keep things together, keep things moving well, keep the level of emotion, the emotional temperature in the room at the right level. So sometimes it needs to be boosted up and a good high level at the beginning. Sometimes after lunch, it needs to be kind of just pulled down a little bit and just more of a relaxed mode, for example. Or it might, after each speech or talk or panel discussion, depending on the mood and depending on the level of energy, I have to kind of regulate that, because you cannot have, it's very difficult to have somebody who's like calm and focused, and then suddenly the next person comes on stage, has full energy and gets people to really sort of do things and raises the bar in terms of that impact. So somewhere in between, my job is to bring them up slightly to that level. So as I say, my emotional temperature helps others be in the right emotional temperature as well. So being calm, doing that certainly at the beginning, keeping your body calm, not moving around, and be focused on what you're sharing really does matter, certainly at the beginning of a webinar, at the beginning of a talk, in person or virtually.
Okay. So your inner world stay calm, whatever happens outside. Okay, wonderful. I'm not sure if this is the right question, but now in Poland, there is a lots of talk about building a person and introvert. And do you have any advice for people who actually don't like to be in the spotlight, but sometimes have to? Because when you are an introvert, you really don't like to be on stage. So are there any advices for people? Because there is a lot of, recently I've read lots of articles. I think maybe not only in Poland, but also from other countries about building a personal brand for introverts, some tips and hints and tricks when actually you don't like to be exposed, you don't like to be in the light.
What was the question? Sorry, it blacked out. Can you say the question again?
So do you have any advice for people who actually don't like to be in the spotlight, but sometimes because of the situation they have to? Or maybe this is the same advice, right? To prepare yourself, to calm down.
I mean, going in, if you think of it as going into the spotlight, probably not a good approach. Okay, people are looking at you, people are judging you. We can't avoid that. People will judge us and make snap judgments about us. People will like us. Some people won't like us. But you know, that's actually okay. Getting comfortable with that is a good thing. People have the right not to like us. People have the right not to listen to us. People have the right not to work with us. People have the right to change their opinion of us, good or bad. So really understanding that, and if we're, as introverts, in fact, introverts are working with lots of teams and lots of people who are introverts or along that scale, towards that scale, it's a good thing, because often an introverted mind is a mind that actually thinks a hell of a lot more, thinks very carefully, strategically about how he or she's going to do something, and that can really help. That can really help in terms of planning, in terms of structure, in terms of practice. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you just add the emotional side to it, the emotional elements, and then you've actually got somebody who's a pretty good speaker, a pretty good communicator. So when we say to ourselves, okay, I don't want to be in the spotlight, listen, we all have to, all of us have to, if we want other people to make an opinion of us, we have to show ourselves. So we have to show what we look like. We have to show. Hiding behind anything is not a good approach at all. So just pushing yourself, and we all have to do it. Even people who are on stage all the time, people who I help. My role as a host at different event conferences, tech conferences, I have to push myself. I still get nervous, but I have to push myself and understand, okay, this is the role I'm here to do. I'm going to help people understand this event in a better way, create the right feeling, and people are going to judge me. People are going to judge me as the host of this event. I'm the face of this event. Most people, hopefully, they will feel the same thing I feel. Some people may not. And others, a small percentage, might just think, I just don't feel right with this guy. People listening to this right now, maybe the sound of your voice, maybe my voice, maybe this content is not right for them. They just haven't connected, haven't felt this connection with us. And that's okay. That's okay. So not to feel negative about that. That's actually it's okay. And the more as we get older naturally, and as we do, the more we show ourselves, the more we expose ourselves to more rejection. But that's okay. The rejection comes in all shapes and sizes, and as we get older, we learn to deal with that in our own way. But if I tell you now, if I was to think about every time, or focus on the opinions and the judgment, the negative judgment that certain people would have of me, I would never go forward. I would never go forward. So I have to keep moving and accept. That's something we have to accept. And the quicker we accept that, the better. And that's a good thing. Because, think of maybe your competitors. Think of other people that are in the same sphere or area as you, maybe competing for the same clients or doing the same job. There are many that are, I know there are many that are better than me, many that are doing great, really good stuff. And I hold my hat off, pull my hat off to them and say, look, listen, you guys are doing great. There are others that are not, doing not so good, that I can tell they're just, there's something not right. And maybe, they've still got a lot to learn. There's others that are at the start of their career that there's something they've got that's actually really appealing, really engaging. And you can see in the next 5-10 years, they're going to be really, really strong. But that's okay. That's all okay. What's important that you are doing what you're doing and sharing the value you need to share. Sharing the value that your audience is expecting, they want, and give them the value. That's all. There's no more than that.
Okay.
So if you're an introvert, extrovert, whoever you are, we all have to push ourselves, and getting comfortable with being judged can only be a good thing. The more you get comfortable with being judged, the more you'll be able to share more of who you are and the value that you share.
Okay. Thank you, Peter, for giving these wonderful ideas and the new perspective. And you gave us here, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with Polish entrepreneurs, marketers, students. It was really pleasure to have you here. I think one day we will meet here in Poland on physical stage.
Definitely, hope so.
Next time, in action.
Yeah, next time I'm in Gdansk or nearby, hopefully we can have a drink. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, wonderful. Where can we follow you if you would like to invite people to your channels?
Sure. The easiest way is LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me. If you've listened to this, write me a little note to know that you've listened to this exchange, this conversation. We can connect up, have a look at what I'm doing, things I'm doing right now. Most of it is actually I'm focused on virtual speaking and presence training webinars. So teams, leaders, companies, helping them create the right impression and getting their teams really, really comfortable with using Zoom, with using virtual exchanges. So that's everything from how to set up, how to show up, what to say, how to say it, persuasive speech, storytelling, all the things, all those micro skills, which are different, which are slightly different than in-person skills, all those things together packaged up in 3 webinars. So if you think that's something that your team needs, something you need, or something that your network needs, give me a shout and let's see where we can collaborate.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. I do hope that this is not the last time we meet here online to talk about the bringing better stories, how to behave on stage, especially this virtual one, which I think will stay with us for a long time, because the world now is remote, and I think we all have to learn how to use this actually opportunity, because this is something which is helpful.
Yeah, to do it well. And actually, remember, the more people are doing it not well, if you can do it well, you're going to stand out. So that's what it's all about, standing out above your competition. And if it's a small competitive advantage in terms of how you show up and that connection online, then it can only be good.
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.